पराजय है जो नैतिक, राजनैतिक और संवैधानिक तीनों आयामों पर कांग्रेस और विपक्ष ध्वस्त हो गया है। आफ्टर a decisive and massive defeat in Bihar and West Bengal, and after their nefarious design to instigate anarchy in the country and getting no response, so that was a moral defeat. Now on the floor of the Supreme Court, there is a complete rejection by Supreme Court on their plea on S.I.R. Now this can be termed as the constitutional defeat. So I can say that after this judgment of Supreme Court, the complete defeat of opposition, Congress party in particular, and Mr. Rahul Gandhi in particular has been summarized as PCM, political, constitutional and moral defeat. सबसे पहले हम संवैधानिक दृष्टि से कहेंगे तो बहुत स्पष्ट रूप से न्यायालय ने यह कहा है कि S.I.R exercise is not in conflict with the Representation of People's Act and 1960 rules, and it doesn't detract from the constitutional imperative of free and fair election. न्यायालय ने और भी आगे स्पष्ट रूप से कहा है कि S.I.R के माध्यम से जिस उद्देश्य को प्राप्त करने की कोशिश की जा रही थी उसका स्वतंत्र और निष्पक्ष चुनाव सुनिश्चित करने के संवैधानिक लक्ष्य के साथ सीधा संबंध है। इसका मतलब फ्री एंड फेयर इलेक्शंस को इंश्योर करने के लिए इट वाज वेरी मच रिक्वायर्ड। तो जो उनका मूल आधार था वह पूरी तरीके से ध्वस्त हो गया। कोर्ट ने आगे यह भी कहा है कि चुनाव आयोग द्वारा दर्ज किए गए कारण जिनमें पिछले गहन पुनरीक्षण के बाद 4 दशकों से अधिक का समय बीता है, पिछले कुछ वर्षों में बड़े पैमानों पर नाम जोड़े गए और हटाए गए, जिसमें उन्होंने कहा कि अर्बनाइजेशन हुआ, शिफ्टिंग हुई, डुप्लीकेशन हुआ, लोगों का आना हुआ, परंतु उसके बाद भी यह प्रक्रिया अत्यंत आवश्यक थी। अतः सर्वोच्च न्यायालय ने इसको संविधान सम्मत माना है और चुनाव आयोग के अधिकार के अंतर्गत माना है और निष्पक्ष और पारदर्शी चुनाव की प्रक्रिया के लिए आवश्यक माना है। तो हम यह कह सकते हैं कि इंडी गठबंधन जो सनातन धर्म विध्वंसक और घुसपैठिया संरक्षक है, उसका वास्तविक चरित्र आज उठकर सामने आ गया है। On the political ground, I would like to ask, ये लोग क्या आपको कोई मेहनत करते हुए दिखाई पड़ते हैं? गृह मंत्री अमित शाह जी ने कहा कि मैं 25 दिन लगातार बंगाल में रहूंगा। राहुल गांधी जी कहां थे बंगाल में? चलिए, आप कह सकते हैं कि बंगाल में हम बहुत मेन क्लेमेंट नहीं थे, तो असम में तो आप मुख्य विपक्षी दल थे। कितने दिन रहे विपक्ष में वहां असम में जाकर? उसकी बजाय कहीं कार निकोबार में घूम रहे थे, कहीं वियतनाम में घूम रहे थे। मैं पूछना चाहता हूं यह बात नैतिक और राजनीतिक आधार पे हमारे सभी प्रमुख नेता, हमारे पूर्व राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष नड्डा जी, वर्तमान राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष नितिन नवीन जी, इसके अतिरिक्त अमित शाह जी, इसके अतिरिक्त रक्षा मंत्री राजनाथ सिंह जी, तमाम लोगों की आपने वो बैठकें देखी होंगी, वो सम्मेलन देखे होंगे, जो शक्ति केंद्र और बूथ लेवल कार्यकर्ताओं के कार्यक्रम आपने देखे, मंडल अध्यक्ष स्तर लोगों के कार्यक्रम देखे। कांग्रेस में कितनी बार आपने बूथ लेवल कार्यकर्ताओं के सम्मेलन देखे? कितनी बार मंडल अध्यक्ष के सम्मेलन देखे? अर्थात काम कुछ नहीं करना, चुनाव के समय भी मन लगाकर कोई काम नहीं करना, फिर बाहर से जाकर कुछ बातें अनाप शनाप बोल देना और फिर यह सोचना कि उनको चुनाव जीत लिया जाएगा। मुझे लगता है देश की जनता यह समझ रही है और इसका एक और खतरनाक अर्थ भी है। यह विषय सिर्फ यह नहीं है कि S.I.R पे आरोप निराधार सिद्ध हुआ, विषय उससे ज्यादा गंभीर है। आज विपक्षी दल और मुख्य विपक्षी दल, विशेषकर कांग्रेस पार्टी,
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be. Amid a fragile ceasefire, stakeholders take on the tough questions.
Was Israel surprised by the asymmetric warfare which Iran started conducting?
Yes, I think it was a kind of surprise, the level of savagery.
Why has Iran stopped the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz?
So we have to defend ourselves.
Like never before, on point with Kartikeya Sharma, decoding Hormuz, Kharg, and the ceasefire.
What is the future of peace in West Asia?
I hope that they got their lesson.
That are supposed to give a chance. We stay ready in case it doesn't work.
Every war has a political objective.
The voices that matter, only on News9.
The way India has been consuming content and connecting with it has been changing dramatically in the post-pandemic world. Biggest people in the content business at this summit. All things content are being discussed. We have content creators, VFX artists, production houses, platforms, all of them coming together to discuss the Content Hub VAM Summit 2026 with the arrival of AI redefining the way content is made. A lot needs to be thought about and a lot needs to be decided.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be.
Now, a suspected Ebola case has triggered a health alert in Bengaluru after a 28-year-old woman from Uganda was admitted to the state-run epidemic diseases hospital with mild symptoms. Now, according to health officials, the woman had recently traveled from Uganda to Ahmedabad before arriving in Bengaluru. And authorities have said that she did not show any symptoms during the airport screening. However, due to her travel history from an Ebola-affected region, surveillance teams continued monitoring her condition. Officials said that the woman later developed mild body ache nearly 24 hours after arrival, following which she was shifted from a hotel to the designated treatment facility. Now, samples have now been collected and sent to the National Institution of Virology, or the NIV, in Pune for testing. And doctors say that the woman is currently stable and has not developed any additional symptoms so far. Health officials added that even if the first test comes back negative, a second test will be conducted after 48 hours as part of standard Ebola monitoring protocol. She will be discharged only after testing negative twice. Amid the alert, Karnataka's health department has activated precautionary measures and designated specialized isolation, quarantine and treatment facilities in Bengaluru and Mangaluru. The preparedness measures come after the Union Health Ministry directed all states and union territories to strengthen surveillance and hospital readiness in view of the ongoing Ebola outbreak in parts of Africa. The World Health Organization has already declared the Ebola outbreak in Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo a public health emergency of international concern. Well, what we are telling our viewers right now is that a suspected Ebola case has triggered a health alert in Bengaluru as a 28-year-old woman from Uganda was admitted to the state-run epidemic disease hospital with mild symptoms. Now, although the first test may have turned out to be negative, but the second test would be carried out 48 hours after the first test, because sometimes the symptoms gets more noticeable after 48 hours. Now, according to the health officials, the woman had recently traveled from Uganda to Ahmedabad before arriving in Bengaluru. Now, authorities did say that she did not show any symptoms when the airport screening took place, but they still kept her under surveillance due to her travel history. Officials say that the woman later developed mild body ache nearly 24 hours after arrival, following which she was shifted from a hotel to the designated treatment facility. Samples have now been collected and sent to NIV, which is the National Institute of Virology in Pune, for testing. And doctors say that the woman is currently stable and has not developed any additional symptoms so far. But remember, the health officials are being very, very careful. They are monitoring all the symptoms of this particular woman very carefully, because the first test comes back negative does not necessarily mean that she does not have Ebola, because the second test would then be followed up after 48 hours as the standard Ebola monitoring protocol. She will be discharged only after testing negative twice. That is the standard procedure followed for Ebola. Now, amid the alert, the Karnataka Health Department has activated precautionary measures and designated specialized isolation, quarantine and treatment facilities in Bengaluru and also in Mangaluru. But remember, she did go to Ahmedabad before coming down to Bengaluru. So if at all she shows any symptoms of Ebola, it is going to be difficult for the authorities in Gujarat as well to try and trace or do any sort of a mapping as far as where all she travelled, who did she come in contact with. Those are the areas of concern that might affect more than one state. Then it may not just be limited to Karnataka. It might also rope in Gujarat authorities then. But we are waiting to see whether what is going to happen after 48 hours when the second test, the follow-up test, is going to be carried out on the patient. And it is only after 2 negative tests that the woman concerned in question can be put on the clear. The preparedness as far as Ebola monitoring system is concerned comes after the Union Health Ministry directed all states and union territories to strengthen surveillance and hospital readiness in view of the ongoing Ebola outbreak in parts of Africa. Remember, it was only a few days ago that the World Health Organization declared the Ebola outbreak in Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo a public health emergency of international concern. If any strain of Ebola ends up entering India, it's going to be a matter of a deep concern. Although the authorities at the state level and the central level, as far as the health administration and the ministries in concern are concerned, they are carrying out a close surveillance on all the symptoms of this particular 28-year-old woman, who has now been shifted to the epidemic diseases hospital when she showed mild symptoms after 24 hours of her arrival in Bengaluru. Remember, she recently travelled from Uganda to Ahmedabad before arriving in Bengaluru. And to discuss this further, I'm joined by Dr. S.I.R. who is a consultant, Secretary General, People's Health Organization. Thank you so much, Dr. Gilada, for taking your time and joining me here at News9. Good afternoon to you. We are talking about a 28-year-old woman, Dr. Gilada, who seems to have showed certain mild symptoms, although her first test, as far as Ebola scanning is concerned, that has come out to be negative. But the authorities are taking no chances. They are going to be carrying out another test in 48 hours' time to see whether she is still testing negative or not. But what about the fact that she did go to Ahmedabad and then landed over here in Bengaluru? What we are putting across to our viewers is all steps being taken by the Karnataka authority. But if she's gone to Ahmedabad, then do you feel there is a need to try and trace the contact tracing or the contact mapping if this woman is concerned?
See, first and foremost, our policies are little lax. How did this woman board the aircraft which comes to India? So if you look at the US policy currently, no non-US person can travel from any of the countries like Uganda, S.I.R or DRC Congo and Sudan. And even if that person is non-US, that person is coming on the aircraft was shifted. There was an Air France aircraft which was going from Paris to Detroit yesterday, and that was changed to go to Montreal because of US policy. Now, if we talk about India, there is no direct flight between Uganda and India or DRC Congo and India. So they will obviously come through.
I can interject because the authorities are saying that at the airport screening, she showed no symptoms. So what happens then if a person at the airport screening is not showing symptoms, but then it ends up developing further as far as symptoms are concerned, and in 24 hours to 48-hour window, the symptoms start surfacing?
No, the symptoms can come within 2 to 21 days. It is not only 48 hours.
Okay.
So it is not like COVID. So if the person is suspected that person needs to be isolated, quarantined for 3 weeks, minimum 3 weeks. Now, if that person has already come in contact with other people who are her passengers, co-passengers, or in the lounge or in some waiting area, then those people are also suspect. But at least good thing with Ebola is not transmitted so easily through respiratory tract. It can be transmitted through close bodily contact, close bodily fluid. So it is basically person-to-person contact, which is in close vicinity, or a sexual contact, or family contact. So I think the risk to transmission from her to somebody else is low, is not very high. But my first question is how that woman landed in India. Why did we don't have a policy that the people from Uganda or DRC Congo, whether they are suspected or not, currently because of this outbreak, they cannot travel to India. And we must make that kind of policy very strict now itself. Otherwise, this is one case, but there can be other people coming. India is 1/6 of the world population. Any problem anywhere in the world can very easily sneak in India.
Point taken, Dr. Gilada. One thing is about lapses on the part of the authority, but I want to understand from you, and for the better understanding for viewers also, Dr. Gilada, is that what are the symptoms that one must look forward to? How is Ebola different from COVID, like you just mentioned, and whether this is treatable? Because we are not here to spread panic. We only want to try and make informed decisions as far as our conduct and our travel is concerned.
So first and foremost important, the symptoms are like initially flu-like symptoms. So fever, cough, sore throat, headache, body ache, pain in muscle, pain in body. Thereafter, they get respiratory distress sometimes, but most of the time is a hemorrhagic fever. Hemorrhagic fever means there is a bleeding, internal, external. If there is external bleeding, you can see bleeding marks on body, on the skin, and there can be renal failure. So these can all happen within 2 to 21 days. Number two, there is no perfect treatment for Ebola. Whichever variety, whichever strain it has. Currently, it is said to be the variety called, it's not a Zaire variety, the Pandibugyo variety. For that, there is no cure, there is no vaccine. So therefore, we are all scared. And the death rate is between 25 to 90% with all historical outbreaks, whatever has happened globally.
This is not the first time around that Ebola strain has found itself in India. If you can throw some light on that front, and also how contagious is it? How does it spread?
So there are actually 6 strains of this virus, Ebola virus, out of which 4 are, they can cause infection in human being or human to human. Out of which the most common earlier was Zaire strain and Sudan strain. But thereafter, there is a new strain which has been, there have been total 13 outbreaks historically from 1976, out of which the 2 outbreaks were only from this new strain, and this is the 3rd outbreak. And currently, if the person comes in contact with other people, close body contact, then that person can transmit infection either through bodily fluids, blood, urine, stool, or saliva, but not respiratory infection, just like we have seen in COVID. Therefore, if you see on one hand, it is a fatal infection, there is no treatment, there is no vaccine, there is no cure. On the other hand, it is less transmission as compared to COVID, so therefore there is no need to panic. But the first and foremost, the person has come in India, now the person is suspected to be having this infection, Ebola. We need to quarantine that person, and we need to be careful while caring the person. And that care has to be there in the medical caregivers, doctors, nurses, technicians, ward boys, ayahs, etc. And they should use PPE kits because we know very little about this virus, though it has been around for almost 50 years.
Absolutely. Dr. Gilada, thank you for your insight and sharing all the areas of concern as far as Ebola is concerned. But thank you for taking your time and joining me here at News 9.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9, English news as it should be.
It's not just about access. It's about health, dignity and equality. From classrooms to workplaces, why do periods still limit millions of girls? A special menstrual hygiene day telethon. Join the national conversation May 28th. The Sheconomy Agenda Period Power. Only on News 9.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9. English news as it should be.
Hello and welcome. You are watching News 9. I am Krishna Kumar. These are the headlines that we're tracking. Big win for the Election Commission as the Supreme Court of India upholds the Election Commission's power to conduct S.I.R of electoral rolls, says objective of S.I.R linked to fair elections. Tamil Nadu's Chief Minister Vijay is set to meet Prime Minister Modi in Delhi. Vijay is likely to discuss the continuing Meghdadu water dispute during his maiden visit as the Chief Minister. Karnataka's Chief Minister Siddaramaiah is set to resign, may get a Rajya Sabha seat. D.K. Shivakumar may become the next Chief Minister. Ebola scare in India as 28-year-old Ugandan woman shows Ebola-like symptoms in Bengaluru. Samples sent to the National Institute of Virology in Pune for testing. Air India slashes the number of flights scheduled for June and August. Airline company to cut 22% domestic flights